What's up, everyone? Welcome back at the Artist Coaching Podcast.
Hey,
And today
we're in real life.
we're in real life, and
I
we're
could touch you if I wanted.
hi. And today we're in the
Official
official
Artist Coaching
Artist
headquarters
Coaching headquarters. Exactly.
or studio, because headquarters is not here.
It used to be a studio, then it became an office, and now it's a podcast studio.
But the Artist Coaching headquarters is not here anymore.
No, that's in Tilburg. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. What's up, Bit3? What's up, Josh? Ben Singh, welcome to the chat, everyone. Israel Carter, Alex Leray.
So it's busy, huh?
Yeah, it's getting full.
They're like, they see the professional setup. They're like, yes,
it's gonna be a good one.
let's go check out these lads.
Yeah. Ralph is joining us a bit later today. I think he's coming in about like 15 minutes or something, maybe 30.
He's gonna barge in and steal the show.
Probably, but I don't think you guys on the live stream will be able to see him because we've got another setup right now. So I'm not sure if that's possible, but we'll see.
In the content afterwards on TikTok and Instagram for sure.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. The snippets.
And you can hear him because we have a microphone set up for just for him. Amazing.
Just for him.
Yes.
And how are you, Jobke?
I'm a bit sad.
That's sad. Oh, why?
Well, I have a new track that's coming out at the end of this month. And I was like, hey, you know what? I always email it to DJs, and I also sometimes send it in a DM on Instagram. So this time I was like, I'm going to send it to some big names in the DM. So it's like a bit of a housey track. So I'm like,
and who's a big name?
Tiesto might play it, Dom Dolla, just like the really big names, because it's not for another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I want only like A-listers to have it. So after I sent it, 5 minutes later, I see on Instagram, seen by Tiesto. So I've sent my track to Tiesto. Tiesto, if you're watching, I know you've seen it. But seen. And that's where the story ends.
He just ghosted you.
Yeah, that's where the story ends.
He just ghosted you. It's like,
it hurts.
I'm not sure.
It hurts. It's because you're like always a bit like scared to send it to almost anyone, but like especially Tiesto or like Garrix, or and you always just sent it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in a way really cool that he saw it. So he's seen the message, or someone of his team. I don't know if he handles his own DMs. But then nothing. So like, did he listen to the track? Does he like it? Does he hate it? Does he meh it? That's probably, if he listens to it, that's probably the biggest chance. It's like, yeah, it's good. But that hurts
or
too.
He didn't listen to it at all. Like he
didn't listen. Yeah. But the fact that he saw it, I'm already like, hey, that's cool.
And you send a Dropbox link.
Yeah.
So you can't trace if he checks it.
No.
Well, it must keep you busy because you've been talking about it for a full day now. So
it's one of those things where no, I'm actually like really happy that he saw it, even that he's like, hey, or someone of his team, I don't know. But it's just, it got me wondering, like, it's one of these things that you think, or when you're not a DJ yet, you think that you get into these circles of DJs and everybody's always going to reply.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, oh, Tiesto is going to be my best friend.
Nope.
No, I'm still scared to send him stuff. And sometimes he replies on email, and sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he doesn't even see it, probably.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that still it's like, oh, I really want him to like it. So, yeah.
We've talked about this before, that even when you're at a higher level, that still doesn't make it a guarantee that you will get signed to bigger labels, or that other DJs will support your music, because eventually it's still about the music.
It's still about the music.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, if he listened to it, there's a big, he might still play it. He might like it. I don't know. It's been one day, but it might still be like a thing of like, yeah, it's good. Not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Which you shouldn't in any way take personally, but you always do, because it is so personal, because you made the track. So it's like, it always feels so like, oh, he doesn't like this. He's never going to open music of me anymore. What if I send him the next track and he doesn't listen to it?
What if he hates me now? Yeah.
But I always feel like as long as you send out the track and keep sending it out, if it's really good, it will eventually get out there to him, and if it's really good, he will play it. So I'm not too worried.
I think the big advantage you do have, the only big advantage you have as a bigger artist, is that you have the contact, as in they actually open the email or they actually read the message.
Yeah,
they don't reply, but what
they don't listen.
Yeah, they don't listen, but at least you got an opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a huge thing. But I know from Tiesto that he is always on the lookout for new talent, new music. So it's like, I know that if I send him an email, there is a big chance he listens to it. And I think it goes for a lot of DMs he gets, emails he gets. He's just very on top of new talent, finding new music, because that's, I think, what makes Tiesto so big, is he's always on the new trends. And that's why he's been here for as a big DJ time. Forever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's cool. And that's also why you can take it less personal when he doesn't like the track. I mean, it's one guy. I mean, I still like the track. So, but just for everybody sending demos, it stays scary. There's always people you look up to. You're scared about their opinion. You will always be ignored by people. That never ends. And there's always someone bigger to let you down. No, that sounds very negative. But
Your
I mean,
ego can always be more crushed.
Yeah, exactly. So but it's just fun to share. I think for a lot of people that's a cool insight into. He's played tracks of mine, like a lot, like Electric Elephants. He played a lot, which is 10 years ago. I know.
Just small amount of 10 years.
And no, but also like tracks lately in his radio show, and but yeah, it's still.
It hurts.
It hurts a little bit, but also not, because I don't take it personally at all.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let's.
Which you should do too. Don't take things personally in this scene at all. Even when labels don't reply or are busy, it's not because of you. Which sometimes you feel that way, but the truth is, no one gives a shit about you.
Martin Stevenson in the chat says, so the only solution to not get ignored is to be bigger than Chesto.
Yep.
Kind of sums it up.
It's 100% true.
Yeah.
You got to be as big that he will think, I have to open this message.
Please open my email.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I'm now trying in golf to become the next Tiger Woods. And then he's like, oh, he's super big in golf. So.
That's the new career path. Quick update on the 30-day music grind, the music challenge, because we've started a music challenge, for those who don't know, 2 weeks ago. Today is day 14, and still a lot of people are active, and still a lot of people are starting to notice the benefits of building that consistency muscle. They've been really killing it, to be honest. And if you go to the Discord, there's a special tab there where it's called the 30-day music grind. That's where you can see all the conversations, listen to the songs that they've created, or the things that they've done over time. And we're halfway through. So later today we have a motivational call because some people tend to lose the motivation.
Hang in there, buddies.
Yeah. And overall, I'm happy with the results. So that's good to see. You wanted to say something about your latest self-release experiences.
Yeah, self-releasing, still awesome.
Yeah,
always awesome. No, I so that track I sent to Tiesto, it's a bit more of a clubby, housey track. And last week I set myself a deadline for uploading a new track so that I can release at the end of this month. So I was had another track that has like more melodic, and I was listening to it and I was like all set. It was all, me and my manager agreed on it, and it was like, that's going to be the one. Yeah. And then I was like listening to it. I'm like, it's not finished. It needs a vocal. It really needs a vocal before I can release it. So I was like, shit. Luckily, I started a project last week, and I was like, hey, this little project could be more than just a project, and it could be a full song, which I could play in my sets. Has a Hardway vibe to it. It reminds me a little bit of my first ever track supported by a big DJ. Check Down was the track called.
Check Down?
Yep. and it was supported by Vato Gonzalez in Eindhoven.
Ah.
But it has like a lot of samples and a really good groove to it, and I just finished it. Got it mastered by Bob Sunday, who is always doing my mixing mastering.
Is that the one we just checked?
Yep. Yeah. And it's uploaded and ready to go for the 30th of May. So it's like, it's so nice to be able to be like, hey, I have the release plan, but it's not going to work yet. I want to do something else. Here I go. Within 2 days, I switched, or 3 days, I switched the whole plan. And I think that's so amazing now. I think a lot of people wouldn't even realize now, because it's so easy to release, that with a label, you would have months in advance scheduled, like 3 months or something. It's just that's so not of this in this day and age, because like sometimes you think out of nowhere, like, oh, this track doesn't work right now, or hey, this style works better for that month for whatever reason, or there's a big festival coming up or a show, and then it's just
actually
nice.
Makes me think about a conversation I had last week, as in releasing on like the bigger labels, not necessarily major labels, but the labels with some profound impact, I would say, isn't always what you expect it would be.
No.
Because especially lately, it feels like the whole trend is going, like we've talked about in the podcast before as well. It feels like we're more focused towards the depth, as in building real relationships with smaller groups of people over having 1 million followers on Instagram. And releasing on those bigger labels kind of leans more towards that old school way of releasing, as in, yes, you reach a lot of people, but those people will most likely never become a fan, you know? So you have big numbers, but it doesn't say anything.
No.
And while releasing yourself and having lower numbers, it's more likely that the people who have listened to it are actual fans and who will come to your shows and buy your merch or whatever. So releasing, it was kind of interesting to me to kind of conclude on that, as in, even on that side of releasing with labels, it feels like it's not in connection anymore with where the world is going.
Definitely, it's so outdated to plan that far ahead, and to I mean, obviously you need some planning, but that's saying that also it contradicts it, because you don't need a lot of planning. If the track's finished, I mean, you can make artworks in a heartbeat, literally, and you can make a press release in a heartbeat instantly. No one even cares about a press release anyways, because it's always the same, like Jay Hardway with his uplifting things. But I mean, you need it to send it out as a for promo services and stuff. So I use that. So you have this press release, which is all like you're just typing some bullshit quote about a track. Not bullshit, but like, just listen to the track and you'll understand. I think that's
who
that's
actually
the nice
reads
thing.
a press release? Like who?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no
who
one
does that?
No one. And it's like uplift with this uplifting energy and stuff and blah blah blah. Sometimes it's cool to read a little backstory about a track, like how it's made, because I think if it's played on the radio or in a radio show, and so I guess radio curators or radio show curators would read it, because it's like, hey, the new Tiesto, anything I can tell about that track. So it's like, oh, it was created in COVID, or it was created in a writing camp. That's the reason I could see people
but that's
reading
more
it
of
for.
a background story. But on average, a press release is more about Jay Hardway with his uplifting beats.
Yes, well, you try to always, but that's the bullshit that comes around it. But you try to tell a little story. I do think story is very important, but it's mostly for in the press release. It's mostly for the industry side, so the background, so the curators for the radio shows and stuff. But having that story, I mean, it is still smart. I think storytelling is good, but just, you know what I mean with the press releases.
It's, oh man,
I don't know if you guys watching and listening have ever read an actual press release for tracks, but it's so much bullshit. And then there's like, oh, here's a quote from the artist themselves, and then it's like, okay, that makes sense. That's fun. But story can make a track more interesting. You know?
Story makes the track, as in the whole storytelling.
I think the track
it has
makes the track.
Yes, it does. But the story kind of adds the sauce to it, as in it's the same with art, like watching art, you can appreciate it. Same with track, like with a track, like you can appreciate the track and you go, oh, I actually like this track. But if you hear the backstory about it, it gets a different energy, an extra layer to it. And I especially have this with songs like singer-songwriter songs where it's mostly focused about the lyrics. And then when you hear why they wrote the lyrics and who is it about, and it's about my dad who was sick, and then you start to think like, oh shit, this is a whole different level.
And so then it can click more in your head, and then like if those two come together.
So it's a combination of, first, do I like it? That's just subjective, you either do or you don't. That's just not something you can control. But the story is definitely adding a certain layer to the song, which can convince people to check it or become even much more of a bigger fan.
True.
And it's in this when we don't have books here, but I'll just mention a book.
The bookshelf is gone.
It's in the
office, other office.
It's in a book which is called Same as Ever. And one of the things that never changes in the world, according to him, is that the best story wins. Because we people learn and think in stories. Always. Marketing is storytelling. And it's the same with music. Like if you have a great story.
But stories is what make us human. It's why we are different from other animals and species. We tell each other stories and we make up stuff and we romanticize. And
is that how we remember things as well? If you want to remember something, create a story for
Look at the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
the story.
It's like a lot of stories that represent something else. So it's like,
exactly. No, but it's really I think it's something that for the listeners and watchers right now, it's definitely something you should think about. What's the story you're telling about this song? Is it just a song you created? Or is there a certain extra topic to it?
And I think also what is interesting to experiment with that whilst making the track. What is the feeling you want to have? In songwriting, if you are with a team of songwriters in the same room and you have a topic, something that lies really close to your heart, for example, then
Ralph goals. I'll just smash them.
Then it's very interesting to express that thought because it goes into the music, and also unknowingly you write your feelings into the chords, into the melodies, and the way you feel can actually impact how you write music. So that can be interesting to be a bit more aware of that.
I think Ralph is for the gate.
Ralph is stuck at the gate, but then he can get out the car and ring the doorbell at the
I don't think there is a doorbell. I have to open it up, but it's with my phone, and that's the camera right now.
So we can't open it up.
No, he has to climb over the other fence.
Amazing. But songwriting, having a story with your song can help. Definitely, I think. It's sometimes difficult in EDM when you have an instrumental track. But this is the thing: Animals, Martin Garrix. Why did it become such a big hit? This is very interesting, I think, because first of all, it's a great track. It was unique. New, it sounded different. But it was a secret who made it.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, they sent it out as like someone ID Animals. So everybody was like, who made it? This made the whole mystery about this track. What this amazing track that everybody's playing. Then it was Martin Garrix, who actually it's his birthday today. Happy birthday.
Yeah, somebody a bit 3 in the chat also mentioned it.
But it was a 15-year-old talent and everybody was playing this track. That made that track elevate even more. So it's like it just added to the already great track. So great, but I do think sometimes a great track on its own is not enough to become an actual worldwide hit.
No, you need the story.
Yeah.
It's always a narrative you kind of need.
Definitely.
It's we've talked about this last with the James Blunt track as well. It was the same thing. Like it's a nice song, but then when I saw the clip with him and his father hearing about the story, I was like, what the that hit me, But when I first hit the song, I was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Until you saw the clip, it's like, woof.
Yep.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, here's
Ralph
walking in.
It was his birthday, by the way. You guys can't
Yeah, but
see
now
him?
there's Garrick's birthday. Yeah? So
yeah, there's water in the fridge. You have to turn on mic number 4. And then
the camera running.
yeah,
Doe maar even ook
4.
voor het skew it up.
Yeah, that's it. And now you can
leave the
that.
light.
No, leave that.
Leave it.
Take that mic. Take that mic.
That one.
That one. Yeah.
And do a little clap in front of this camera.
There we go.
That's
Can everybody hear Ralph? You don't see him?
Our light is now ruined.
Were you stuck at the gate?
Yeah, I didn't know which gate. I thought I'd first call and then see if I have to take the other one. But
was it open?
Yeah, it's open.
Okay.
Yeah, this one not, but the other one is.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was closed. That's why.
And I came from that side now instead of that side because I came from Eindhoven City.
Eindhoven Airport. Nice.
So, are we gossiping about some James hype or?
No, that was next.
We were waiting for you with that.
Yeah, we were waiting for you.
We were talking about stories and how a real hit can't be without a good story behind the track.
How storytelling impacts the song.
Yep.
Yeah, for some.
But I don't think there's a number one hit without a great story behind it. Like actual
levels,
radio number one hit. Yeah, but that's the story of the prodigy that was.
What was
Avicii.
The story of Levels? I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember hearing the song, thinking, "What the fuck?"
Avicii, who the super talent from Sweden that made an instrumental dance track.
Story.
Yeah, but
it's just he made a song and it blew up.
The song was insane in that
because
case.
It's a really good song.
It showed his production skills, his songwriting skills.
Yeah, but was that also the narrative that the majority of the people would grab? You think, as a producer, that would be the story, but as a regular person.
Yeah, I don't know if did it become number one worldwide on the actual top 40 and stuff?
Actually.
So that's what I mean. I think that it needs that story for a top 40 worldwide song, like Animals, like BBC, maybe UK number one is probably the world's leading. Or is that wrong
what's
of me?
The story behind Animals?
The child prodigy Martin Garrix, who from his attic at his parents made this worldwide hit.
There's Mush Mush, the prodigy himself from WoW.
But that's not a 15-year-old who people didn't know the track was from.
Yeah,
so it's like
he was 16, but every track has something. Is it really? Does it matter that he was 16 or not?
I think it definitely matters
that did matter
for that story.
I'm not. I don't recall, but if it was a mystery who made it, and it happened to be this young kid, that would blow people's minds. I would get that.
That is what happened.
Yeah, I can see why that would be a story for radio people, telling that story. It's interesting to tell, right? It's something new.
Most definitely interesting to tell. I think Martin Garrix, besides that he's, I think in my opinion, a musical genius, but he was first of many young producers, because technology actually allowed it that young people could enter into this world, because you now see it quite some more, but the novelty has worn off, of course, because the first
he was one of the first.
Yeah, he was one of those first. Actually, yet also Julian Jordan.
Erik Arbores.
Who?
Erik
Arbores.
Erik Arbores.
But there were many. Actually, Kirby was one of them back in the days. And actually, I also can remember that Spin-In was more favorable towards Julian Jordan, because he had a big hit with Son of Van Doorn. Kangaroo.
Oh yeah, Kangaroo.
And that was a big record.
But also, Julian had the story of being his track was stolen and uploaded to Beatport, and then it became like a Beatport top 10 or whatever.
Oh really?
And then Spin-In found out, so they invited him over, and then Julian Jordan is like the next talent.
Oh, I never heard.
And then Martin Garrix became the next talent.
Yeah, because Martin Garrix just made an even better track called Animals.
Yeah.
And also because I'm also not sure, but I always understood that marketing Animals as being just animals was because it was or else it was interfering with a track of Martin coming out with TV noise.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
but I'm
wasn't.
not
It
sure.
wasn't
That's
even
also
legit.
a story.
Well, what I remember is that
That it wasn't like a conscious decision.
To name
Yeah,
it
or it
animals.
just in a brainstorm, because he had a track coming out with TV noise as well around that period, and then Animals was made, and he also wanted it to be out fast because there was a movement around it. A lot of people started playing it, and you didn't want to wait too long.
Yeah.
And then they put it online as being
ID
one
Animals.
of the persons at Spinner said, "Well, we'll just put it online as Animals then." Kinda, yeah. So it's always these coincidences happening and all that.
Yeah, it's a bit of coincidence, but then I do think they caught on to the fact that people were guessing.
Hey,
so they kept it rolling a bit longer.
In hindsight, genius move.
Yeah.
True.
For sure.
But I'm not sure if it was being
the conscious.
Yeah, conscious.
But that's I think sometimes the luck you need. That's a bit of luck.
But
like
in the end, you just need good music. And if I'm pretty sure if somebody who was older made that track, it would also
still be.
I don't think it would have been that
the
big
track
of a number
itself,
one.
but it wouldn't catapult another person's career as it did Martin's.
Yeah.
But Martin just, beside he was young, I think we discussed it before. He has that X factor.
Yeah.
He's just also really likable.
But that matters. That matters for what the
really
track
talented.
does in the charts. I think it matters for what the track does eventually.
Yeah, maybe it
Because
does.
I do think
longer lifespan. Yeah,
it's like when someone has an alias, and then you listen to that. Like Martin has White Tram, and then it's like deeper stuff, but I still listen to it like, oh, that's Martin.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you listen to it with a different.
Yeah,
or different. You would still think, oh, that's Martin making that kind of music.
I actually think if you wouldn't know the name, you would just click delete in the spam box.
It depends on the track.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the beef.
We have an actual EDM beef on our hands.
Yeah, we have
finally
an actual beef at the moment, like deadmau5 versus James Hype beef.
Yeah, amazing.
Are you guys following it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not really. You guys showed it in our WhatsApp group, and I checked it out. It made me laugh really hard.
Yeah,
it's funny as hell.
It's just funny, but I think deadmau5 gave an interview at some point some while ago about if your visuals are synced perfectly, then it's not live, it's pre-recorded. That's his it's something like that he said, and it's been taken out of context here and there.
He's probably gonna grab you again.
Yeah, no, but like something like that. I mean, it was a normal statement. It wasn't anything really wrong with it. And then James Hype has his new sync show. James Hype and their team being very smart, they're like, hey, let's call out deadmau5 because that generates some attention. So he made like visuals syncing to the buttons, which is his sync show. It's what it's all about, with deadmau5 logo and saying like, deadmau5 says that if it isn't live, it isn't live when it's synced.
Yeah.
Well, this is all really live. And deadmau5 got back very fast to that, using a CDJ, and he programmed like on the Q button, it's not that hard. And like as you press it, you see it on the screen, and then really it isn't on the play button. And that was like his jokingly saying like, dude, it's not that special what you do.
Yeah.
Which I thought is really funny because it's typical deadmau5 to like actually get triggered by James Hype.
Taking the effort to
because I think it's a genius concept what James Hype done. It's not maybe it's not hard to program at all, but that's not the point.
No.
That's not what it's about. So that's why it's funny that deadmau5 then kind of overreacts, but deadmau5 also gets that humor. So it's like the perfect beef because I don't think they hate each other or anything. And then deadmau5 shows that he's programming the CDJ to play Elden Ring on it. It's like really working
as a controller.
As a controller, and he's like,
"That's funny.
I'm gonna make the turntable actually steer the thing or roll." And it's like and now he's going through, and he's really want to beat like the
guy. It's insane.
It's so funny. A lot. It's so funny.
Yeah, but
it goes to show that actually there's this show being marketed, and whilst the idea is actually Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's I think it's a genius idea, which is simple and probably simple to program. I do think there is a bit of latency, like lag when
you could see
James
it.
Hype presses the button,
Mm.
and that's some actual like feedback from that mouse. Also, like, hey, use these gears, like in the comments somewhere. But I think that's something they should fix.
Yeah.
And maybe for the crowd it doesn't matter, but it did annoy me as well a little bit. And I saw a reel where they're like sound checking for a show, and then you see also like there's just that bit of like
Did I also
delay.
share that video about James Hype? Somebody taking a shot at him that they changed the words of what he was pressing.
No.
Like dick cock, dick cock. Yeah, that one.
It's that OC Beats of sort. That's this guy who's like been mocking the kind of music guys forever.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if James Hype is gonna be the new mocking guy, and that's not a perfect position to be in. And although, I kind of respect him as an artist, I think also what he does is
he's
just
great.
puts himself out there, which makes you an easy target as well.
But that's why it's so smart with the deadmau5 thing. He knows they knew exactly what they were doing. This is like more than they could have hoped for. Yeah. Turns out really funny, and then deadmau5 even in a later video, because deadmau5 then gets nerd mode into it, and he's programming like James Hype sounds playing while he's pressing some buttons in the game. So the thing is rolling. He's like, DJ, hit that shit. DJ. And the character's like, it's all on deadmau5's Instagram. So it's like, it's
nice.
It's the perfect beef.
Okay.
Well, it should be about music though, but this is also
valid point actually against James Hype, isn't it?
Mean?
Well, it's if you say it should be about music, I think like I do think
he has a good track.
He has good tracks, and I like the live show idea. I do think, for me personally, it is a bit too much. Like, look what I'm actually doing, and I would be like, very respect like for your skills, but as a crowd member, I wouldn't care. So maybe the visuals makes it that I care more, but I think just let the music do its thing. But that's
what I do like is that he's bringing
personal
back
taste, I guess.
That he's bringing back attention to the DJ skill, as in I think that has been lacking for the past few years. That most people don't really appreciate it anymore, and he's bringing a lot of attention back to how it's pretty much
looking at the wrong genre.
But DJing for me,
in hard techno, there's a lot of really skilled DJs, like really skilled.
And also show it, as in online and stuff.
Oh, they don't brag about it, but they do it.
No, but
it's like normal.
But that's what James Hype does, as in he's building a brand around it. So
I know,
but I think
Luke was
exactly. Yeah.
For me, DJing isn't about like look. I can like scratching and stuff. For me, is like not. Of course, it's DJing, but it's not for me interesting. And like cues with words. But what Ralph says is actually true. It's I think way more subtle, the skills in other scenes, or like Chris Stussy.
It's a little bit
how he mixes over
more creative.
Setting loops and
making a set.
Yeah,
actually altering the songs and their intention.
It's more like a live set.
No, it's just really more creative DJing.
Okay,
less lazy. It's not about picking your songs. It's also about bringing the songs.
Yeah,
and also how can you bring a song differently? Then if you don't use a little bit of trickage, you can only bring it differently because the track before that is different, or the timing. That's like baking with only salt and pepper. But they just use a whole spectrum of herbs, and they can, with their loops and all that kind of shit, they can just really alter.
Okay.
They actually use the 8-bar, loop it, and loop it, and make a build out of it.
Yeah.
And then actually your first beats of a track, which were never intended as being a drop, can be a drop all of a sudden.
Yeah, so you
that's really like altering the
and the
purpose of a track.
The good ones do it subtle, so that if you're in a crowd, you actually feel like dancing. And I always feel like with the good ones, you don't hear the transitions that much in a good way, but there is tension build up.
Yeah.
Joris Voorn is a very good example.
Yeah, he's great.
And he's like has his Ableton, he has CDJs, and then he has controllers for Ableton, and then he basically recreates a track.
Yeah.
Which is you should watch his sets.
Yeah, that's
sometimes
cool.
He plays like tracks that aren't even like release tracks because it's a project he's working on, and that's like it's awesome to see him DJ. Yeah, it's really cool. So
let's continue.
Normally,
Already,
I
we're
hear
all
that very hard.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
soft. It's actually
It's
like
nice.
mediocre, man.
Yeah, no, you need to have blasted the
that's
ears.
the trick. That's
Yeah.
why it's so good.
It's
just
volume.
blasted
It's
in your face.
volume.
The
No, it's
compression.
community questions. As always, we take on questions from the community in our Discord. People can send in questions throughout the week, which we will answer in the podcast episode.
I have a question.
Yeah?
Do you actually hear compression?
Where?
That's a joke.
Oh,
It's been a meme the last few weeks. Like
Oh, yeah, I saw.
DJs, producers
You know,
pretending
when-
to hear a compression is
So
one of
they
the
sit
things.
there like,
Pretending to hear compression.
Whenever I'm with Rens in the studio and we listen to tracks and I just load them in FL Studio and I still have that limiter on, he can always tell. And I think that's so,
It's talent.
man.
Yeah.
I because it's basically off, you know.
Yeah.
here's a
crazy.
question.
There's a little bit, yeah.
Here's a question from Israel Carter for both of you. When you get asked to do a remix for a big artist like Armin van Buuren or Dimitri Vegas and like Mike, is it always guaranteed that you will get a release? Has there been a time where you made a remix that you were really happy with, but it got rejected by the artist or label? And what did you end up doing? Were you allowed to release it on your
Oh
own platform?
man, funny story. I made a remix of a track for Steve Aoki, and he actually said it's not that cool, man. or it just got actually
I know
it
that
wasn't
track.
Steve
I know that
saying
track.
it, but it was his team or there was an email was not approved. So I took that drop to a good friend of mine called Hardway, and I showed him like "Man,
second
there's
choice.
something in there. You're
Definitely.
good at making breaks. Can you think of something? And that's how mariachi is born.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
then
mariachi.
Steve Aoki started playing mariachi. Also funny.
That's a funny
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So it does happen. You do get rejected.
Definitely.
For
A lot of
making
the
remixes.
times.
Yeah.
Rejection is part of the game.
Big
But
part
then
of the game.
he right away has the best solution, which is always good to, if you're beginning to accept a lot of remix requests, because you make something that you'll be able to use maybe if you don't use the exact melodies and stems from the original. So that's another tip right away. Like,
Yeah. True.
Man, that
I never play
track
that
is
break. I
golden.
do play the drop.
Yeah?
Yep.
We have another big donation coming in from the main man, Melodramatic. 50
Dude.
bucks.
Whoa.
50 bucks. Coffee questions.
We got cake already, dude.
We got cake. We actually have cake for your birthday.
Also,
Oh.
please tell us how to collect that money. because we-
No, I got an email last week. We were trying to find out how to collect the money from YouTube because we couldn't
We
find,
couldn't find it.
Like it's nowhere. I still can't find it. And now last week I got an email from YouTube that I had to identify to claim the
Be
money.
eligible
So I'm in the
for,
process now. But thanks for donating again.
They make it so hard
Oh,
to
man.
make it like insightful. It's just
It's
a big maze.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah,
I showed
yeah.
you guys the back end, how that like
Yeah.
insane. How hard can it be to collect money? Like it's
How hard
Well,
can
they're
all
trying to
that
make it
stuff
harder.
be, man? It's just like YouTube Studio, but also the whole
AdSense,
the ads,
Google.
Well, but
the ads at
Google-
Facebook, Instagram, they're also
Insane.
it's insane.
It's two things. They don't want it to be too easy, I think. But
Yeah.
also Google, I think, that's just me personally, is bad at layouts and stuff.
Dude,
And like
I have Google Nest, the camera system. It's the worst.
yeah, they just don't get it.
I love Ring so much.
It's
better.
like the
Yeah.
opposite from Apple, where
Yeah.
one guy with vision realized
If
humans
Google
don't want to
makes a
think
car,
about it.
Don't
Oh no, don't buy
drive
it.
it
No, no, no.
because you'll
No, it's
think
complex.
you go in front, but you go
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah, you go like this. Whoa!
Hey,
I actually saw a great a YouTube video from John Ivey last week about this, the design of Apple and the whole theory behind it. That's the designer of Apple, the one who created the iPhone and stuff, like, or at least the software. Super interesting how that guy thinks. As in, he always
He's really lazy, and then
no, he always thought like he wanted people to have an emotion that when people open up an Apple package, like the box, that there's an emotion connected to it, that you can feel somebody has spent time and value to bring you that thing. And that's what actually, if still today, I feel like if you buy an iPhone or a MacBook, just the packaging itself, it's like it's enjoying to open it.
That's nice, but I think the genius of Apple and Steve Jobs was that he realized, as a human, you don't want to think, what should I do, but you would
feel,
what would my gut feeling tell me to do, and that's what and that's brilliant with devices.
It's like
and
how
still,
a baby thinks.
Yeah, and still it's super hard for companies to have that with the designers, the engineers, to have that communication. To be honest, super hard.
All I'm going for, man. I cannot even. A phone is a phone. It's such an uninteresting object. The only thing which counts for me is the camera. And the rest, dude, I couldn't care less.
This is where I go bad with TikTok. If you dive into the back end of TikTok, so many options. Like, how hard is it?
Oh, man.
No, but really, like, if you look at this, like,
that's an old man.
Is that the meme of the tractor?
Exactly.
Met 2 kan, joh. Kun je hem sturen? Dutch memes.
meme.
You don't know that one?
Anyway,
Ralph?
Next, I don't know that one. But,
next question from Jelly Boner. What are your top 5 mixing tips you've learned over the years? And you do have some tips to create separation between all elements. When I listen to tracks by Cashmere, Hardway, etc., you can really focus on each separate element while listening if you want to. So how do you mix your elements properly? Mixing tips.
I'd say less is more. And per element, listen to that element and listen what of that element do you need in your track. I think those are 2 things that I usually check. But less is more is one of my things that if I add a hi-hat, it has to be a good hi-hat. It has to be the right hi-hat. Yeah, but like that sounds dumb. But like people just throw stuff in.
Sample
or like,
selection is essential. Like
it's like why would you add something? It really has to add something. You know what I mean? So otherwise,
I just have to laugh because of a comment from Ham and Cheese Toasty. 2 guys and 1 mic. Yeah, I don't know. I just had to laugh. Yeah,
2 guys, 1 mic.
Yeah, I'm not even going into
it. There's no mic here. What's your name,
Mike? Here's a question from Mikey Foden.
Hey, Mike.
Mike, exactly.
There's the mic. Yeah.
If you had to start over today, what would you tell yourself as advice? You had to start over today.
Run.
Don't do it.
Run and hide.
It's actually what Armin van Buuren said in that interview in Dutch. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't recommend my son to become a DJ. But that's a different topic.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
It's a different topic.
Yeah.
But what would you tell yourself? Consistency. I would be way more consistent. I really underestimated being consistent as an artist. I was way too much all over the place.
I would tell myself, you are right. So don't listen to what the label people and managers try to tell you. You are right. Because I think I would have pushed harder for stuff. And I think I kind of buckled for the pressure of, they're big label people.
Yeah.
So you are right. You as an artist know your vision.
You are right. I see you standing in front of me.
You as an artist know your vision. You as an artist know your vision. Right. I would have told myself that, I think. Yeah.
Okay. It's a self-motivation.
And start golfing already. So those are 2.
Actually, wouldn't know. But it's just important to keep on learning, keep on working, and don't go golfing too much.
More.
No, but I kind of do believe in the relative game. It's you have a lot of competition. When you see chances, go for them. Don't underestimate the momentum. And when you have that momentum, work your ass off and make something out of it.
Is that something you didn't do?
I think, we kind of lost momentum on times. I think we could have gotten a lot more out of our careers. We kind of underestimated how big we were at times. And kind of was one of our strong suits because we always knew success wasn't mainly due to what we did, but we were riding a wave. On the other hand, we were riding that wave and we were a big component of that. We kind of underestimated that also. I mean, we never started our own label, kind of regret that. our merch lines. We never put as much effort in that as we should have. Because we also had a good thing going on there, and those are chances we missed. Also because we were a little bit too shy, a little bit too modest, maybe. And yes, I would have done things differently now. But I think that's one of the things when you have momentum, man, go full turbo, fuck all the rest.
It's
go
part
for
of
it.
it's part of what I mean, because I felt like industry people, and especially in Holland, that's just my experience. They always try to make it a bit smaller than it is, and I feel like like you said, that wave of EDM, it was huge worldwide.
Yeah.
Dutch DJs, but like EDM DJs were booked like on the biggest stages everywhere.
Yeah.
And like we should have, I think,
we were as a
realize
people,
that more.
we are really modest. If I see guys like James Hype or Gordo, he's like the maestro of it. He just acts out, man. He portrays himself as being the biggest star, and it works. I actually think it's really entertaining. Also, the way he performs, he stands there and maybe he also believes it, but and it works. It's really cool. And I think that's us Dutchies. Look at what Armin says and how he is. Even Tiesto, and he got a little bit more of a stardom in him now. And look at Martin Garrix being in Amsterdam on a boat with his father on a Sunday, just chilling. That's something I don't see everywhere else. And
Tiesto is one of the few that understood it. Like
he doesn't live in the Netherlands
I'm Mr.
anymore.
Vegas, and I'm
he doesn't live here anymore.
No,
right?
I don't think so.
Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it's our
that culture. But also Tiesto, he's like a really down to earth guy.
But it's partly our strength that we're very humble. But sometimes I notice that it can really make things a bit. It's all not that important, and it's not that big. And I think if you look at like Gordo or Snake is one
or
of those
Yellow
like,
Claw, maybe it was kind of they also so believed in themselves, and rightfully so. I mean, they made big waves with Amsterdam Trap, and also the whole merch line. What was it again? With the blood for mercy.
Blood for mercy. Yeah. Okay. Next question from Labi. When you're stuck on a track, what's your go-to method to move forward or break through a block?
I would listen to other tracks, see how they have a solution for the problem you're in. And if it's sometimes you just cannot see where a track needs to go, but certain tracks, they do something. I was actually stuck day before yesterday on a track, and then I heard another person having his kick bass like really in a filter, and so it goes, and I thought, dude, that just sparked something for me. Then I could go on.
So listen to other tracks.
It works for me, and just start to be inspired. Copy. That's also a thin
gray area.
Yeah.
Okay. For you?
Yeah, stuck is partly an illusion. It's usually like that barrier that you like just keep going. But listening to other stuff can help. Sometimes it helps to start a new project. But don't do that too often, because then you're not going to finish anything. But even if you have a little loop, just make it into an arrangement, and it can be as simple as this is the drop. So I put the kick and the lead there. Maybe that's all you have. Put the kick there, no kick there, because then you have like the direction of, and then you're gonna fill in things anyways. Oh, I might add a little white noise there, or like transition stuff.
It's like
that can help. But don't think you're stuck too much. Like, oh no, I'm so stuck. No, just change an element, add an element.
But it's hard to finish a track, and it comes also with time. You also need to look at it this way: the more you work on music, the more sounds you know. So the more synths and everything, you get more ideas. It makes you way more creative when your database of doing things and searching for sounds or creating things is bigger. It's like a language. If you know a lot of words, it's going to be easier to make sentences.
A question
and to
for Ralph.
express yourself, which is the main goal of a language.
Of music.
Exactly,
And also
communication.
music, yeah.
Question for Ralph. What's the best approach you've seen from a younger artist who wanted to genuinely connect and collaborate with you?
Also, the younger, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it starts with good music and good ideas, and just send it out. There's nothing else you can do, and nothing will change. The bigger you get, your network will be a little bit bigger, but still, you want to.
They will still leave you unread.
No, but yeah, hey, it's actually a fine example. That
Yeah, it's true.
happens.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
you send a track out to Armin, yeah, I mean, the guy's busy enough.
Yeah.
If he listens to it and doesn't like it, why should he take the
Yeah.
time to send something back?
Yeah, we've talked about it when you weren't here. Like it's still about the music, as in it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's still about the music,
Yeah.
even though you're at a bigger level, maybe.
Of course, but your network will grow.
I
It
mean,
becomes easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
That's true.
Yeah.
And try
But-
to work with peers, and we said it many times before. Like the artist coaching Discord has a lot of people, like-minded people who also do music. Will always be good, and you never know what kind of a network they have,
Mm-hmm.
and combine it and see if you can grow together.
Yeah. Or what energy you can get out of someone
Yeah.
else and work
Yeah.
together on the next big hit.
Here's a question for both of you. What's one business or branding move you wish you made earlier in your career?
Ralph just said the merch, which I think was a thing we could have got more out of, especially maybe in the US when
Yeah.
touring there. A stylist, probably.
A stylist?
Yeah, if I look back at like, I was just like, oh, just put on a black T-shirt, and I have no sense for fashion at all. So it's
I
like,
can tell.
yeah, exactly. But I think actually a stylist would have just not that I want to look like something I'm not, but would have represented me more. Just to have more people maybe look into who's Jobke.
Mm.
How can we bring that to the outside? I think that's something that maybe still I should do now more.
In press
But,
pictures and stuff.
Social media,
Yeah.
just in general, just hey, I want to show who I am, and not like.
Yeah.
But it was also social media was coming up, so that's also something that I now see. But then it was like, oh, I have a big crowd. I need the picture with this, like this to the camera with the big crowd behind. And it would get a lot of likes. But if I already then was like, hey, and there are some guys who, like Julian Jordan is one example of who already was so like putting himself as a brand, which I always think is, and Yellow Claw is a good example.
Don Diablo, maybe.
Don Diablo,
Yeah.
100%.
He's a big marketing guy.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't want to be fake and hey, clothing that I wouldn't wear, but I wanted to
That's
show
the thing
more like
about
this is
marketing.
me.
It kind of feels fake-ish, but it's not. It's also
It
hard
can
to,
be.
I mean, the clothes I wear don't really express how I am, or maybe not even make that translation from what I have in my head, how I want to portray myself, because I just don't know about fashion. And then when somebody who knows about fashion comes into play, they can actually make me express me way better than I could myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very good tip.
it's
And also
interesting,
that comes from that modesty we have. And it also has that kind of charm. I mean, I am who I am, and it's about the music. But yeah, we now know there's way more to it than only that. And
True.
and there can be so much more in us that we just don't know. So when you get the chance, and it will be at a path down the road, then just get some professionals in there and see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe it's shit that you just spend a lot of money on nothing. Fuck it.
Yeah, but that's always the risk. You never know how an investment could go. It's true. There's a question from Mr. Josh. A few months ago,
Josh,
Ralph suggested for me to get some merch to give out to my shows in Asia. I'm going back in July for more shows, so I wanted to get organized and do that this time around. What merch do you think I should take with me? Because I don't want to do t-shirts because they can be expensive and the quality seems kind of shit from previous experiences. And also the sizes of the t-shirts might be different.
Depends. If you get the Gildan shirts, I actually really like the fit also. And Gildan, that's Gildan. I don't have stocks, but I'm going to buy some now.
Because after this episode,
no, we always used it, and I really like those shirts. I used to wear them so much, and
But
I
is
still like it.
t-shirts the first thing you would do? But it's also quite a big investment.
You want it to be visible. I mean, caps are an easy one. You can bring loads of them in your suitcase and then take them with you. So if you do it at home, I mean, you're not going to make 1,000 of them, although we did. We still have them from 5 years ago. And makes it cheaper per piece, but it's kind of, not how you should. But if you would do the production at home, you can have a little bit more of quality control.
True.
And you need to see, who am I going to hand it out to? Is it the people who are there? The visitors or the people at the organization. I mean, the sound guy, you can give him a t-shirt, he'll be happy. You give him a cap, or her, of course. And the hospitality girls, they like a nice crop top maybe. And the organizers, everybody likes some free shit.
I'm actually wearing merch now that I'm thinking about it. I got this yesterday from a client.
Nice.
Actually, looks nice.
It's a nice piece on the back. I'll show you later, but it's really nice.
I do like that shirt.
Yeah, it's
so,
nice
I also do like it. To be honest, it's so unlike you. Actually,
But
looks nice.
Ralph, this is the new me.
Hey,
this is the new me.
Compliment from me.
Street Joey. Street
merch. I used to have stickers are always a good thing because they always go in the backstage room or
and take
just
the ones
somewhere.
you can't get off.
Yeah, never. So they have to
also
like
can spark some
Yeah.
irritation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I used to have wristbands that would be one of those things where you could close it and then you couldn't really get off anymore, but with my logo around it. But that was actually really cool because it's something that at a show people then like to wear. They then see your name. They probably wear it in the night. They probably cut it off the next day, but that could they see your name, so they might, if they really liked your set, they will check out the thing. Can be confusing because sometimes, like, I had my manager who would hand them out in the crowd, and people thought like, "Oh, this is like a backstage band." But I mean, that's.
I actually had something like that, but I still like the idea of it. A friend of mine came up with this. Do you remember those wristbands that just clip, those sticks that you clip around?
Yeah,
I don't know what they're called, but
they slap around your wrist.
Yeah, like slap wristbands.
Yeah.
And we've made them in fluorescent yellow, as in like super bright with my logo on it. And it was funny because you handed it out in the club, people were putting their hands up like this, so all the pictures people had like fluor yellow wristbands on, and it also felt kind of expensive. So it didn't felt like you wanted to throw it away.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a paper thing or something.
They feel cool, and they're cool to fidget around with.
Yeah, like just play around. I still have a few of them at the office, but that was a low investment thing. Like those things cost, I don't know, 10 cents a piece.
Like, comment, and subscribe. You might win one.
Yeah, exactly. I can send one.
We also had these glasses with
with the
the red ones
logo on it.
Yeah, true.
And they actually were awesome as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So there's I would look for because it's very early for Josh, and I can imagine you don't want to spend too much money. So I think clothing can be an expensive one.
There's wristbands.
Yeah, wristbands.
Nice. And you can pack like hundreds.
Exactly.
In
exactly.
But also, just quick tip: check per country how strict they are with customs.
I came in with this bag of metal. They were like, "What the hell are you?"
You need to have either just check if you can just bring it, or you have some explanation ready that it's not for selling. Because if you go with a lot of t-shirts,
if you're traveling on a tourist visa, that's gonna be
you have to really
100 of the same t-shirts.
With the logo. They will check, and you don't want to ever lie. So just have the real story ready. So just so you know,
all the documentation is sorted, and you don't even have to get certain documentation for the t-shirts themselves.
Yeah. If they're not for selling,
you're
usually
not going to bring 100 t-shirts, but you can bring 50 caps, 20 t-shirts, and that kind of shit. And if you have all those little wristbands, that would just be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the cards with the photos, and you can have the autograph on it.
Yeah, and some countries are just more strict with those things. So just ChatGPT it or Google it, and you will find out about the country.
You can be really creative with bringing certain merch that we cannot think of.
If you have a lot of risk, if you have a lot of
those old school tattoos
Oh,
that
you can
make.
stick on.
Yeah, with
Real
water.
tattoos.
Yeah, with those water, you can just
For
put
the
them on.
wristbands, if at customs they ask, it's too much wristbands, just show them a picture of La Fuente, and it's so
Not too
they will be
much.
like, oh well,
it fits.
Oh
okay.
yeah. Well, he has like 300.
Okay, guys, last question because we're already at 1 hour.
Hey,
Question from Alex Ray. First, I wanted to say happy birthday, Ralph.
gracias.
So I'm 17 years old and I have been offered a 5-figure publishing deal for 4 years for 25% of my publishing. And on top of that, they offered about master's deal of 2K marketing and a bit of recording budget. I'm really scared to take it because I know there's probably much better deals, but I don't have a manager or anything to help me get more deals.
I'm not sure if the 25% is such a good deal.
25% of his publishing.
They take 25%.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
Okay.
so.
That's not even so.
That's pretty good, I think.
I've been offered a 5-figure publishing deal for 4 years for 25% of my publishing.
Is it 99,000 or is it
Yeah, that's
10,000? I mean, that's a huge difference
huge
because
difference.
I think that's
No, but to be honest, it doesn't sound like a really weird thing.
I do have
4 years. That's kind of usual. Usually it's 3, but
Yeah.
also fine. The thing is also with a publishing deal, if you focus on you bring away 25% for them to collect it.
Mhm.
And maybe arrange some
songwriting
camps. I mean, it's not going to be an administrative deal, I guess.
Yeah.
For that amount, 25% is not that bad.
Yeah.
And if you do more than the 10,000 is, you're going to renegotiate your deal because you also always want to get a little bit of an advance.
Yeah.
So they have to run for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they want to earn that back. So they
have to work for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just check how much you really need. If you really need the money, then you should think about that as well. You don't want to take too much that it's going to be too hard to get it back, because then after the 4 years they might just check also the things in the contract about them being able to extend or not.
Yeah. Usually it is so that is if you haven't like recouped the whole advance, you're stuck there.
They can advance usually for sometimes they have something like they can then advance it for, or like extend it for a year and then look again. Just make sure to have those things. What if if things, have them clear
so
in the
you're
contract.
not stuck for life. Yeah.
Because also that you don't, if you like earn it all back, you still want to be able to have a new negotiation.
Yeah.
Because they could say, if you earn it all back, we just extend it for another of the same. No, you want new negotiations always. There's a lot of stuff like that you need to.
Then go to the BMW dealer and get a nice BMW.
Spend all your money at once.
Everything all at once. Yeah.
That's one thing I should have done different. If you make 10,000, spend 9,000, man.
Yeah.
Buy those
20,000. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're all gonna die without. I don't need money in my casket.
Any shilling? You have a release upcoming?
30 May.
30th of May. Which
but
is
Chopsticks
cool.
is still out for 2 weeks. It's been going well, like any old release of mine. So
okay, cool.
Check out my songs, stream them, because it's independent, so I can use every in the penny.
In the penny.
Wow.
Help me make my mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we have loads coming up, and it's hard to pinpoint one of them. I do have to mention our Wiggle Wiggle remake. It's not going that well on SoundCloud. I mean, Hardway has played it in his latest radio show, but apparently a lot of the listeners are sleeping on it. So wake the fuck up! And now it's also coming out on Spotify eventually, because we now are in the process of getting that done. New vocals and all the stuff. I actually, we were releasing every 3 weeks a track. We kind of loosened that vibe because it was just too much.
What is it now?
Focus.
4?
Now 4, or maybe sometimes even 5, but 4 is like the median now. And there's a lot of stuff coming up. Too hard to mention. I think Rewind is the first one to go, and that's a really special one. It's a new wave tracks, and we're gonna also, novelty. We're gonna bundle all the new wave tracks that are a little bit different than we always used to in a mini album.
Okay. Why is that?
Because it's cool, and it's gonna also like bundle all the new stuff we have, because it really also sounds fresh. It's really new stuff. It's really fresh. It's kind of unheard for many.
Yeah.
And for us, it's better to bundle it so people can really get a taste of it, and it doesn't get mixed up with the older stuff we do.
Yeah. Okay.
So Bassjackers new style.
Cool. That's it for this week. Make sure to share this podcast with your friends, family, colleagues, dogs, everybody.
Yeah. Share it with the owners of the dogs.
Owners of the dogs.
Usually they don't share it. They also
they
don't
have
have thumbs and iPhones.
Exactly. Face recognition.
Yeah.
Hard.
They have thumbs, but not, how do you say that? Opposable
thumbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Makes it hard.
We will be back next week with another fresh episode. Hope you guys liked it, and see you next week.
Hey.
Bye-bye.